Hello, I'm Rachel New. I'm the writer and creator of Miss Scarlet and the Duke, and I am here today to answer some questions from our epic drama viewers. And this is my pot with my little questions in, so I'm going to dive in there. So question number one is, what would appeal to you about an Eastern European detective? Right, that's an interesting question. I think being a detective, I think it's a universal, I think the characteristics are universal. So I don't really mind where my detective is from. I think to be a detective, you have to be tenacious and determined. You have to be stealth-like and smart, use your smarts all the time. So I'm not sure what nationality you are, what impact that would have. But yes, I'd be very open to write an Eastern European detective. So watch this space. Question two. What was your experience like filming in Eastern Europe? Did you learn something new? Well, one word, absolutely. Oh, that's two words, absolutely amazing. I loved filming in Eastern Europe. Belgrade is now like my second home. I learned so much, not least of all just working with such brilliant crew who are dedicated and passionate and huge fun. One thing that did surprise me a little bit was how much the Serbians have the very, very similar sense of humour that the English have. So we had a lot of fun out there. I learned so much. My Serbian is still appalling, but that's work in progress. So I'm making myself look at my app every day and learn a little bit more each day. But I would recommend to anybody to film in Eastern Europe. I just think it's got the most amazingly talented people, and yeah, I can't wait to get back there. So question three. Okay. Are there any hidden Easter eggs in the series that we might have missed? Well, do you know, we did plan to have some hidden Easter eggs. There was a couple of times where we have this magic lamp for one of our episodes, and we planned to plant it in as many scenes as possible, and then ask our fans if they spotted it. But we forgot because we were so busy, so we didn't. But I will ensure that on our next season, that the next time we film, I will ensure that we do have some really, really cool hidden Easter eggs. Okay, and question four. Did Kate Phillips and Stuart Martin inspire any personality traits of Miss Scarlet and the Duke characters, or were they very much the part already? Well, the characters were pretty well formed and written before Kate and Stuart came on board. I had a very strong sense of who they were, where I wanted them to go in the story, what their relationship was, what their dynamic was. But I have to say, after we cast Kate and Stuart, they were, and I had seen them actually, you know, do their thing in season one. From season two onwards, they were very much at the forefront of my mind. So I do think in some ways they have brought their own idiosyncratic little characteristics to the roles. For example, Stuart is very funny, and so we probably push the comedy a little bit more with him in terms of, you know, he plays Duke brilliantly when he's a bit sort of long-suffering and under the cosh. So but yes, I'm sure they did bring something, because when I write now, I absolutely think of Eliza as Kate and Duke as Stuart. So yes, it's probably a little combination of both. Okay, next question. If I can get it out of the pot. This is question 5. Where do you see the series going in the future? Well, more of the same, I think, in terms of, you know, it's a procedural drama, so we can have endless seasons. Eliza is a really interesting character, a really lovely character to write for. So there's always going to be obstacles and problems thrown in her way that she has to overcome. So I can't see that changing anytime soon. Her relationship with Duke is complex and fun and dramatic to write for. So I love that will they, won't they between them. I know everybody is desperate for a kiss, so you'll just have to watch this space. But in terms of future seasons, it's such a rich world that I can't see why we would change too much. We love bringing in new characters and having old returning characters. So our cast of regulars is getting bigger and bigger, and we like to delve into them a little bit more now. So yeah, it's a whole rich world that I'm sure there's lots of different parts of that Scarlet universe that we haven't quite explored yet. So yes, I think there's going to be lots and lots of seasons of it. Next question. Question 6. Is there a meaning behind Eliza's outfits and the reoccurring blue theme? Well, there was a little, well, there's a couple of things. There was a little meaning in season 1 with her blue outfit with the little chevrons. That was our costume, our head of department of costume. That was very much about, you know, Eliza really having ambitions to be a policewoman, policewoman, police person. So that was a little nod to that. And we've just finished filming season 4, which I was absolutely determined that she would get a pocket watch because there's just something so just classy, and it just looks really nice. And Kate pulls off any costume. In terms of the blue, I have to just be honest and say it's just my favourite colour. And in fact, I have a few battles with our exec producer Patty Ishimoto and our wardrobe department about what you know, can we change up the colour a little bit, because everyone's a bit tired of blue. So I would have blue all the time, but yes, I have to listen to them, and so we've got a variety of colours coming up. So hopefully you'll see that very soon. And question 7. Did you have an Arabella in your life, and are there any characters in the show that are based on people you know personally? That's a good question. No, I didn't have an Arabella in my life. I've had friends with Arabellas in their lives. Arabella, I think, is an interesting one because we never quite know in the episode whether, not really until the end, whether this is Eliza being overly sensitive, because Arabella comes across as actually quite fun and just you know, a woman trying to make it in a man's world, just like Eliza, which I think gives Eliza this dilemma. But we trust Eliza, so we know something's gone on. We know something, you know, she hasn't made it up, but it's just whether, you know, is she being overly sensitive? And obviously we discover what role Arabella was in Eliza's life, and it wasn't straightforward. And but in terms of the characters like Arabella, I basically just, there's a lots of different characteristics that I'll collect from friends, from family, from even reading the newspaper. It's a collection of little kind of nuances and characteristics that are sort of put into the characters. So there's not one character that is based on one person. And if there was, I certainly wouldn't tell you who Mrs. Parker was based on, because it would get me into trouble. Someone does come into mind, but yes, generally it's just being an observer of life and creating those characters from lots of different people. Question 8. How do you make sure the historical period the show is set is accurately represented, and how important is that for you? Well, it's hugely important for me. I want the show to be as authentic as possible, because the premise of the show is woman in a man's world, and if we suddenly have, you know, lots of hugely successful women in the show, the premise is gone. It completely dilutes it. It's about Eliza and some you know, outsiders orbiting her world. We got Moses, we had you know, Rupert, we have Ivy that, you know, desperately wants to be more educated. So it's about this group of people that do have their struggles and their obstacles, and in order for that to work, the world, the 19th century world of that was sort of the establishment was being a, you know, a white male establishment, that has to really remain in place for these struggles to actually be identifiable and to work. So yes, I try to make it as authentic as possible. Sometimes you have to take creative license, but we only ever do that, myself and the other writers only ever do that when the drama demands it. So but generally we try and stick to the truth of that time. I think that's fair. Okay, and question 9. Do you believe in TV happy endings, or do you think drama hits harder? I think I believe in both. I quite like ambiguous endings that leave it up to the audience to think and predict about what the next, you know, what the next move is, stage is for the characters they've kind of fallen in love with or invested in. I think that obviously happy endings are lovely, but you know, there is something nice about the audience, leaving the audience for their imagination to fill in the gaps. So yes, I would love a happy ending for Miss Scarlet and the Duke. So we'll just have to see. We'll just, you know, watch this space. And I think this is the last question, question 10. So can you tell us, will Eliza and Duke finally get together? I think I've just answered that question. Well, it's one of those ones, I see the show going on and on and on and on. So it would be remiss of me to give any indication now. But what I will say is they will carry on with their adventures. They will always have that bond, and we'll just have to see where those characters take us. I'm very led by the characters. They're very real to me when I'm writing. So we'll see. It would be nice, but we'll see. We can be optimistic. And I think that's it. That's all the questions. Keep on watching Miss Scarlet and the Duke on Epic Drama, and it's been a real privilege to answer your questions. I hope I've answered them. You know, I hope I answered them okay, and my answers made sense to you. So anyway, keep watching.